So Parshat Bishalach takes us to the next phase of redemption. It takes us to the phase of actually crossing the Sea of Reeds, which is called Yam Suf, and the Yam Suf is Yam Sof, is the sea of the end, and refers to the splitting of not just a physical sea. In Kabbalah, the Yam Suf represents the Sphira Malchut, the Sphira of kingship. That's what it represents. It represents the splitting of the Yam Suf, Yam Sof. What's the end of all of Revelation? The end of the Revelation is Malchut. So now Pharaoh let us out, and he let us out like we spoke about last year. There was a redemption from all levels, from the psychological level, from the intellectual level. And now the Jewish people were free, and they're traveling out, right? But there is, and now this is like actually the deepest lesson, that beyond the intellectual freedom that we think that we thought is the highest level, the truth is that Malchut, like kingship, is the highest sphera, is the highest emanation, is the highest one of the sphirot, right? The sphere of Malchut is the lowest one on the one level, but it's the highest one on the ultimate level. And Malchut itself is really a crown. That's why a king, what does a king wear? A king wears a crown. So Malchut is in a sense on the level of crown, and it is the crown of the next world. The way Kabbalah puts it, that the way each world evolves is that there's a 10 sefirot of each world, and then it evolves into the next cycle of the next sefirot. So what's the last sefira of the cycle? It's Malchut, and then Malchut turns into Keter, and then it starts the whole cycle again. It starts Chochma, Bina, Dat, and then it goes.
We are in the end of the end of the end of the end.
Oh, we're in Malchut the Malchut. We're in the lowest most, right? But the way it evolves, the way it comes down into this world, is that it evolves via, right, a whole cycle. So there's a cycle, right, within each world. Each world has its own specific cycle of sefirot.
It gives and it takes. And it gives and it takes. That's why it comes Keter again.
Yes, exactly. So Keter. So now kingship, Malchut, now becomes Keter. Now it becomes the next thing, until it evolves all the way down to what we call Yam Suf. Yam Suf is like the end of all, the end of everything, which is Malchut of Malchut. Like what you said before, that's in this world we have the end all of everything. In other words, there is no other world or lower world than this. The Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya that this world is the lowest world. She'ein tachton lemata mimenu. Olam tachton, she'ein tachton. There is no lower world than this. That's not called that's not called a world. Zeh, okay. There isn't. Ein od mivad. That's it. So it's called Yam Suf. Now, the world the sphere of Malchut is also called Yam, right? So Yam, what do we know about a Yam or an ocean? Is we don't know actually what's inside of the ocean.
Only the surface.
We just know the surface. But we know more about the galaxies than we even know about our very oceans.
Yes.
It's quite amazing, that we know so little, and we think we know so much. We think that we're just the experts. We've found out this. We know about this. We know. We know so little about scientifically about what's going on in our world itself, right? Forget about the galaxies and beyond the galaxies, and beyond our Milky Way and what's going on over there. There's no clue. So the Olam. So the Sfirat HaMalchut is called Yam because it hides everything within it. It evolves. It envelops everything within it. Whereas the other Sfirot are giving, and you kind of know that the giver is giving. So you have Chesed, giving, Gvura, it's fire, it's going up, Tiferet is joining, etc., etc. The Malchut is now actually is receiving from all of these Sfirot all together, and it encompasses them all together. So what does the splitting of the Yam Suf mean, according to Kabbalah? The splitting of the Yam Suf means that there is a splitting of the perception of this world, a complete splitting of the perception of this world. What one thought was reality, or is, this is reality because it's here, because it's in front of me. I think, therefore I am. I'm eating, I'm touching, I'm sensing, and all those things. I think, therefore that's the reality. That's the ultimate truth. Yam Suf is like, I'm splitting through that. Splitting through that is now there is a revelation that even the Yam now becomes revealed to the Jewish people when they walked through the Yam Suf. Ve'alchu betoch hayam bayabasha. That the hidden world became revealed to them. What was all just encompassed, was enveloped, now became completely revealed to them. That's the splitting of the Yam Suf, and that is the ultimate revelation. That's the revelation, the ultimate redemption, because we although we celebrate coming out of Egypt during the day that they came out of Egypt. So it's great, we came out of Mitzrayim, but we weren't totally free until the seventh day. Until that's why we celebrate 7 days of Pesach. And in fact, we don't say an additional blessing of the Shechianu on the last day of Pesach. Why don't we say it like in other holidays? We would. The answer is because it's one continuous redemption. The seventh day is really the fulfillment of the first day. The first day is the revelation of coming out of Egypt, right? And coming out, and then actually, when are we free? When we're free on the seventh day, Kriyat Yam Suf. Kriyat Yam Suf is the ultimate freedom.
Freedom. And we're free till then until now, because we don't say Shechianu.
Right. So we don't say Shechianu on the seventh day of Pesach, because the seventh day of Pesach is that day of redemption. So there's a number of things that we know about the splitting of the sea of reeds, that the Talmud says that it's as follows. That it says that it's difficult to find one's parnasa, kashe parnasatam kekriyat yam suf. That it's difficult for a person to know where they're going to get their money, basically, right?
Yes.
Just like it is difficult to split the Yam Suf, right? And also, she could log in here also. Oh, yeah. God bless her. And also, it is difficult for shidduchim. It's difficult to find your match.
No, it's easy. Let's meet.
But it says kashe zivugam kekriyat yam suf. That's what the Gemara says. Kashe zivugam kekriyat yam suf. And there's a whole opinion in the Gemara if it's your first marriage or second marriage. First marriage, according to an opinion in the Gemara, that it's already 40 days before, and a person is like destined for their bashert, for their life partner. And the second one is where it says it's so difficult.
No,
but
the
there's
second one, it depends on your doing. How do you say masim?
Yeah.
On your machshava, diבור v'maseh.
Yeah.
The more you are clean in your מעלות, how do you say, לנקות, לסדר את
You clean your inside, your soul.
inside, מעלות, איך אומרים? לא מעלות,
Malot is like midot.
midot.
Yeah.
As much as you clean your midot and you are all three together, you'll find the same one. The second one is a magnet of who you are. The first one is bat call going up from the sky and say this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is by the מעשים, דיבור ומחשבה.
Yeah, very good. Amen. Amen to that. You're there. You're almost. I see it. I see it. That's it. So what's the analogy of kashe panasatam kekriyat yamsuf and kashe zivugam kekriyat yamsuf? Based on what we're saying now about the redemption. So just once again, the redemption of the Hebrews, of the Jewish people, was not just when they came out of Egypt. That's the beginning of the redemption, or they came out of Egypt like that. But when were they truly free? When they split the Yamsuf, when they went through the Yamsuf, Kriyat Yamsuf. So what does the Kriyat Yamsuf mean? The Kriyat Yamsuf means that Yam is the Sfirat HaMalchut. That's the idea that everything is encompassed within it. And just in simple terms, it means that the Malchut is like kind of like the like the aura in we have that chart over there, but in aura of it, it's all inclusive. It includes everything within the person, right? So Malchut is the lowest one, the lowest sphera, but yet it is the highest sphere, and it's called Suf. It's called Yam Suf, Yam Sof. It's the end. It's the end of this. It's the end of sphere, but it's also called Yam because it has within it everything. So it's all just like completely just enveloped. Just one more idea, by the way, of Malchut as like it's very interesting sphere.
What did you say about the aura? I was busy.
Yeah, that the general loosely described in other philosophies or whatever, that they say that there's an aura of a person. What is an aura of a person? It's basically everything that they are, almost like their energetic field, whatever you want to call it, is included within it. It's not something intellectual. It's not something emotional. It's not something that you see about their talents. It's not any of that. There's a certain all-encompassing. So Malchut includes all of it. And a melech and a king, or a true king, is somebody that includes everything. That's what a melech is. And right, a melech is somebody that is not just born into it and has blue blood, but it's somebody that has within their ability to use the right thing at the right time. In other words, they're using at this moment chesed, right? At that moment, they're using gevura. At that moment, they're using netzach. At that moment, the right thing at the right time is somebody who's a king. Somebody that's a king doing the right thing at the right time. If you ever saw like a video of the Rebbe like giving out dollars, it's unbelievable because you could there's videos, hours upon hours of this, and you see for each person he would say a different thing. It's not like it's like the same thing. He would say a different thing. He would act differently, like completely just attuned to what is needed, what is called at that moment, right? And that's the level of a melech. And the Talmud says, "Man malchi rabbanan," who is really a king. That is the rabbanan. Rabbanan are Torah scholars, really. A true Torah scholar is somebody that has the ability to utilize the right midah at the right time because they're a king over themselves. They're disciplined. And melech, by the way, is moach lev kaved. Stands for melech. Moach lev kaved. You have the ability to control your brain, controls your heart, and your liver, your action. It's all. That's a king. Discipline, self-discipline, true discipline. That's kingship. So, what is malchut? Malchut is really none of the above. It's not chesed. It's not gvura. It's not. It includes them all. That means that it's actually higher than them all. Right?
Although he is fed by them,
Right,
But
exactly.
when
It's
he includes them,
lowest.
then he higher than them.
Exactly.
Because you have all of them inside.
Exactly.
So you are a king, I'm a queen, she's a queen, we're
Exactly. Well, actually, the feminine is most associated to Malchut, the feminine, whereas the masculine is called Zeranpin. Zeranpin is actually the Mashpia, the Chatan, and the Kala, milashon klot. Kala, klot, right? Lichlot, right? And that's the Malchut, Sfirat Malchut, which is the receiver. So, what is higher, giver or receiver?
Wow.
Receiver.
Receiver.
Yes.
Is much higher.
I was thinking because
It's much higher than a giver, because a giver, how many people do you talk to, or your friends or whatever you're speaking to, that they're not really even listening to you? They're waiting to say what they want to say.
yeah, not friends. I don't have friends.
Okay, that's good. Or I should say
Mhm.
acquaintances, people that you know, they're talking to them, but they just want to. They're just polite to hear you, but because they just want to say what they want to say, and they're not really listening
Yes.
to you. And a true friend and a true somebody that really cares for you, somebody that will just listen to you. I had a couple of days ago, somebody was on the phone with me about something. I didn't even know what to say. I was just listening. I was just listening and listening. He said, "Wow, it's so great to talk to you." I didn't say a word. I didn't say anything, but I was just listening. And you're there, and you're listening. And you're helping the person by just receiving their words, receiving their pain, receiving their, what they're going for. You're comforting them, right?
Something.
Yeah.
When a kid comes to you and you said, "I cannot do homework," tell him, "Only sit near me and ask the question by the voice, and you'll see they will answer alone. They just needed an ear."
Mm.
When they say it by voice,
Yeah.
they will remember and they write it.
That's
They
amazing.
just need an ear.
That's amazing.
And they found the answers alone.
Speech, and that's there you go. The speech, according to Hasidut, according to Kabbalah, speech originates on the level of Keter, on the level of crown. Speech, like dibur, which is associated with Malchut, because speech, right? Malchut peh, the Zohar says that has within it your thought, right? Everything is within speech. Hopefully it's within speech, but speech originates in Keter. There's this very interesting lady that used to live here in Tzfat. She was a voice teacher. My wife went to her. She's a very unique person. She now moved to Tveria. She teaches voice lessons all over the world. She lost her voice when she was very young. And she wasn't like connected to Torah that much. And she started like figuring out that the way she channels her voice, where does the voice really originate? She could heal her own whatever blockages or even, she had like actual problems with her vocal cords, like on a physiological level. And she realized that when we try to speak and we try to push out the voice just from the vocal cords, then then it's not as powerful, and it's not as true as bringing down speech from its original place, which is the crown. And she has a whole thing that actually that speech, that when we breathe, like the way we speak, like we breathe, we take in and we also take in through different areas in our skull that are like kind of like open, that they're not completely closed. Like there's areas over here and right, exactly. exactly the side that those areas over here are when somebody speaks, somebody brings in it kind of like generates from there, and it goes from the crown, and then it comes down through, and then it's the voice. And she says, I mean, she's just a very interesting person. She, by the way, she got very connected to Torah, and she moved to Tzfat from Miami because she found out, she's in Tveria now. She couldn't be here because of the high altitude and affected, whatever. But when she saw that this is written in the Zohar, this is written in, like, she thought that, she found out something new. She's like, whoa, it's found in the Zohar. The Zohar says this. Chassidus speaks about this. So she started investigating. She had she developed this whole like shita, whatever it is, and she's very, very successful. She trained, she worked with many singers and opera singers and things like that. She's in Italy now training like opera. Yeah, very interesting person. Her name is Miriam Arman, just by the way. Yeah, for sure.
When you think you found out alone, you are alone with the shita, great ego. But when you get the Zohar power, you are going until Italian, until opera. Because
it's the truth. It's
the power of the Zohar.
Exactly.
The background. Exactly. What do you say? The Beit HaMishpat of the Zohar. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Yesh tokef.
It's the emet, the complete truth. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's the idea of speech, that actually when we speak things, it causes new revelation in our minds. And that's why when a person learns Torah, it says b'motziim b'fihem, like you have to say the words of Torah. V'dibarta bam, you have to speak dibarta bam. It's not enough just to intellectually, I'm reading a book, and it just goes in my brain and it goes into my mind, and that's it. But when you learn something, you're supposed to vocalize it. You're supposed to say it, because by vocalizing it, you're triggering a higher awareness from the level of crown, from your highest level, and you get a deeper understanding by speaking, by saying the words of Torah.
Because when you read, maybe only the inside of you get it, the Eloki. But when you speak, you hear it, the Behemah.
That means that it comes from it comes from a higher place, because it's able to affect your lowest place.
Yes.
You're right? So speech is a receiver, because speech receives from your thoughts. And your thoughts actually come, the way Chassidus explains, Tanya says, thoughts come from your emotions. And emotions come from your intellect. It's not just speech comes from your intellect, right? But it comes from your thoughts. Exactly. It's intellectual, emotional, and then it goes into thought, and then thought, and then speech. And then speech is a receiver of those things. So it's basically receiving from your Chabad, which is Chochmah, Bina, and Dat, and then you have your Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet are your emotions. Basically, it's the seat of the emotions. Tiferet is within the heart, and then it goes into the thought process, and then speech is Malchut. So we have that every single moment, really, potentially. We have that interaction of the Sfirot, basically interacting into the world into the physical world, bringing it into this world. So which one is higher? Which one is higher? Speech is higher, and because it collects everything, right? It collects everything, and receiving, and the feminine. Okay, and I'm not just saying it because you're here.
Too feminine.
but the feminine aspect is higher than the masculine, and this is like a very, very big misconception that people have specifically in Judaism, that they're like, it's a masculine type of you say all these things, and it's I mean, it's kind of like a discussion of understanding the role of female and understanding it. But basically, the idea is that the feminine is rooted in a higher place, and therefore she's not obligated in certain time bound mitzvot, because you're really rooted in a higher place. Because the feminine is able to include a lot of opposites all at once, multitask all at once, whereas the masculine is very just like, okay, I have to do this, and don't get me off track because I'll just get confused, and I'll, my wife has to send me like a text message or some, in a WhatsApp to tell me again to, what I'm buying, and sometimes I have to, I get it wrong still. But that's us, you go back to the store, very like linear. Okay, I'm a little bit more like ADD, and that's a blessing.
Yes.
But women are able to multitask and to be and to be in different places, and that's really what it says in Nashim datam kalot. It's not a negative thing that women's dat is like light, because it really means the opposite, datan kalot, that they're not strictly just forced into like a certain one line of thinking, right? One modality of thinking.
Like a soulmate of railway.
Exactly. Multi-dat, that is exactly the whole idea, the whole aspect of malchut, because it's able to just interact with everything together. Like my wife, God bless her, she just go, okay, dealing with the kids, and then there's dinner to cook, and then there's laundry in the thing, and then it's got to go in the dryer, and then you got to pick up this kid from this, and then got to call the teachers, and you got to do this, and got to
close the oven.
And close the oven, and then the little kid has spilled something, and you're like, oh my God, how is this happening? This is not humanly possible to like hold all these dimensions together. But that is malchut. That is real kingship. When we first got married, my wife used to, she came to, when it was Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, she came, we went to shul together. So, but once we had like a child and two or whatever, she stayed home. So at first it was like a weird situation for her. I'm staying home on the high holidays. I feel like, I'm losing out or something. I want to be in, this is such a special excitement, and feeling in being in shul and being in synagogue on those holidays. And we had like a guest or something that was like, you're building the real malchut. You're really actually, says on Rosh Hashanah, you make God into melech and you make in malchut the whole thing. But the malchut really happens where? In a woman's home. Inside of the home itself is where all those details are happening, and you're actually crowning God even more than in the synagogue, more than in the shul. So half holding like a machzor, and then dealing with this kid, and making sure that this is ready, and the meal is ready, and all those things are in a sense higher than being in shul.
Because you are building really a house.
That's exactly
when the man can go and pray, and his mind is not in the prayer, but she is with God. The kids are God. Her husband is God.
Exactly.
The house, everything is God, and she's dealing with that.
Exactly.
All the time she's dealing with.
Exactly, and that is the ultimate crowning of God in this world. In this world, that's it. There's nothing else. That all those details are really all one and the same. So this kid's problem and this thing that needs to get done, all that is all inclusive, is all together. That's malchut. It's all like hidden together. That's the yam suf. It's all like hidden together. What's inside of the water? What's inside of the water? Who knows what's inside of the water? What type of fish are there? What type of rocks? Mermaids. I don't know what's inside of the water. What's inside of the water? All those things are there. Deep water. Nobody. But I think Steve, you showed me once that TED talk of this very deep what do you call it? A submarine that went the deepest that it ever reached. It was a crazy pictures that they got of like creatures that they look like aliens with like antennas and neon lights, green neon lights and pink lights and like these lizardy things.
Yes.
It's like
You couldn't make it up. It was so amazing.
it was so amazing. It was like a science fiction kind of
Yeah.
of a show or something.
It's electric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Electric because it's dark. They must be electric
Oh, it's
to find their
incredible.
way.
No. They don't need to be electric. It's organisms. I studied
Organisms.
my BSc, my first degree, undergrad is biology. So I studied sea creatures a lot.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
So why are they electric?
They have it's a biological mechanism. It's like you have plants that are photosynthetic, that they are able to absorb sunlight and use energy. So some creatures are able to absorb energy and utilize it as light.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what kind of energy are they absorbing?
They're
Because there's no sunlight there.
Right. It's different. It's a little too detailed for now,
Uh-huh.
but it's
Very interesting.
cool.
Wow.
Wow.
You have we know it from a planktonim, like in special atzot. Normal English words for that. But they have you have sea creatures also in our level that we can see all the light.
Yes.
Wow. You should see have you seen it? It's like a TED talk on it.
It's cool.
Very amazing. So yes, we have no clue what's inside of the ocean. So that's the point. The point is that the ocean has everything, but it's all closed up, and therefore we don't know what's going on. And the splitting of the sea is one second, let me
Somebody's disturbing him. Balagan.
okay,
The
muted.
Malchut is disturbing his kitten now.
So the splitting of the sea, the splitting of the Yam Suf, right? Because it's Yam and it's also Suf, it's the end, is that they were able to peer and look into what is usually hidden and see the advantage of that true revelation that's usually hidden. That's the revelation of the Yam Suf. Revelation of the Yam Suf again is walking betoch hayam bayabasha. That they're within this revelation, but they're within the concrete. They're not obliterated within it, but they're able to absorb kind of what that revelation means. That revelation is a revelation, the splitting of what is hidden, of the hiddenness. And so just on a practical level, we know on a biological level and physical level, like what's going on, and what we don't know is way more than what we do know about our existence, about everything that's scientifically what's going on over here. But on a spiritual level, there is so much that or ultimately the way Kabbalah puts it is like what we know is like 1%, and there's a 99% that we don't know. Like what we don't know, what's the implications of certain things, of things that we do, or things that are happening in all those worlds that are going on right now simultaneously around us. And for most people, they're worried about what they eat for breakfast, or what this person said about them, and what that comment was on this, or all those things which are very limited, which are very small, because we're not seeing the true picture, the true bigger picture. And the Kriyat Yam Suf is all of a sudden like, whoa, you see the bigger picture. Now you see like the bigger picture of everything. Now everything like now makes sense. Now this is like, oh, I get it now. Now this is why things happen this way and that happens that way. Not, people say that when they go up to like the like near death kind of like things, experiences, like they kind of like they have a certain feeling of calmness because they now understand why things happened, and and things that they didn't understand before, they do understand. I'm not so into all those stories and things like that, because I think they're a little intense, but for some people it like really works. But I just want to bring out that point that people don't recognize we don't recognize what's going on around us, but it's like huge. That like with one mitzvah, one good deed that you do, like you said before, like we have the power of just drawing down such immense light. We have no idea what's going on, how powerful that is. That right? Well, one little thing, and with every action, that's the case.
Every mitzvah breaks people.
Yes.
And you don't know what it's leading to. Yeah, I don't know why.
It's powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Show them what we're doing without noticing.
What
I just
You're
do
closing
this
the
and
circle of their
I
electrical
feel
energy
the
in the body.
vibration, and
Okay.
then I notice that she's the same.
Energy
Ah.
levels, you're closing.
Okay.
It's not only this brain and this brain now are together.
Yeah.
I just
yeah.
I didn't. It wasn't conscious, but I feel so much energy. So powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So that's the splitting of the Yam Suf. So we didn't answer yet why it says that kashe zivugam kekriyat Yam Suf and kashe parnasatam kekriyat Yam Suf. So it's difficult to find your other half, right? That's what the Gemara says. The Tam says, like the splitting of the Yam Suf, and getting your parnasa, getting your livelihood, right? Like the Kriyat Yam Suf. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting. In the parsha, it talks about actually in the man, like the month pouring down from heaven, and the Rebbe Maharash, the fourth Lubavitcher Rebbe, says that the man, by the way, sounds like money. It's interesting. That's not a coincidence, but everything that all sustenance or livelihood that a person has, the job that they get, obviously, okay, you make kelim and you work towards something, but the job that you get it's not the boss that's giving you money, that it's coming down in the form of man. It's just coming down to you because this is meant for you. That money is meant for you. It's meant to come down in that way, just like the man rained down on the people of Israel when they were in the desert, and for certain people it was right outside of them, and for other people they had to walk a little bit, and for other people they had to walk really far because they had a lack of belief, really, or a lack of correct actions that they needed to do. And why is the splitting of the sea as difficult? The splitting of the sea is as difficult as the livelihood of a person. So the splitting of the sea represents the breaking of nature, because the sea is not meant to be split. It's meant to be just the way it is. Like there's a certain t'nai. T'nai means a condition. That there's a condition that God made with everything in nature. Nature needs to be nature. That's natural. Nature needs to work the way it does. And just by the way, that nature is there's a book, a philosophical book called Avodat HaKodesh, where Yosef Albo says that nature is actually, in a way, the greatest miracle, but we just don't recognize it and we call it nature. But there's the nature and there's the way things work, and they're not meant to be we're not meant to go out of the context of nature. It's just meant to work the way it is. It's supposed to be hidden in olam lashon he'elem, that everything is within it. Teva milashon tovea, right? That a person could be within teva, but he's drowning, just like in somebody's drowning in a pool, in an ocean, in a lake, because they are just drowning within the lack of awareness of purpose, really, in life, and therefore a person drowns within this world because they don't have a direction, they don't have a purpose, and the person is now drowning, God forbid, within this world, and the world could cause a person to drown, because nature, if we just look at nature in and of itself, it could be very elusive. It could look like it's the reality, because it's what we feel, it's what we see, and it's just nature, and this is how people conduct themselves in nature. So when a person just takes that for face value, could very easily just be tovea, just like drowned inside of the yam, right? The truth is, though, that nature is all orchestrated by God, and that hateva is actually gematria of Elokim, gematria of God's name, the way He's within nature. And God is within nature at all times, but He assumes a different name, and that's the name Elokim. So the truth is that all parnasa, that all money that a person gets, it comes through the channel of nature. It has to come through the channel of nature. But it stems from the man, it stems from the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. It comes from that revelation of God that is channeling, that is giving that down. But it comes down through, if you want bread, you need to take it and mill it and crush it, and you need to, you need to make the dough, and you need to bake it, and then you have bread that you could eat from. But that bread is basically a gift from the highest revelation of Yud Kei Vav Kei, of God's name, that is now revealing it and is giving it to you. So what is happening when a person actually gets a job or gets an ability to make money, and they kashet parnasatam kekriyat yamsuf, that there's a certain splitting of the yamsuf when a person has money. And every single day, actually, we not dependent on the jobs that we have. And the great tzaddikim used to not have any money. Every single night, they used to whatever they used to have, they used to give it all away. They used to have the faith, used to have the bitachon that tomorrow God is going to split the sea for me again. There's going to be a revelation. There's again going to be food on my table, right? And they say about, the Zohar says about Rav Amnuna Sava, father of Amnuna, sorry, not of Amnuna, of I think it's of Amnuna Sava, yeah. That he's buried outside of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in Meron. There's a certain grave over there. Yeah, there's one tziyun over there. So this Tana says they used to pray every single day for his bread. And the Talmud says every single day you're supposed to pray for your sustenance. You're supposed to pray for what you're going to have. Right? Every day you're supposed to. So even though this is actually in the Gemara says that even though he had bread in front of him, he literally had bread in front of him, his wife or whatever, or somebody made for him already bread, he used to look the other way and he used to say, God, please give me bread. You already have bread. Why do you have to pray for bread? and that's what he used to do every single day. And it makes the point that even though there was bread already, there still is the prayer, which a person, purpose of the prayer, where a person needs to recognize that the bread is here, not because somebody put it here, somebody went to the makolet, to the supermarket the day before, and therefore it's here. But I have bread because God willed for me to have bread, for me to eat at this moment. And today is a new revelation. So it's essentially a splitting of the Red Sea. It's the ultimate splitting of the Yam Suf. When a person says nature, okay, you need to have this type of a security. By the way, security is in Security and Exchange Commission, as the SEC is basically the stock exchange. People call it securities. People have a security in having money. Yes. So we know that in Florida, unfortunately, a lot of people just all of a sudden lost, or they got made off with a lot of money, and then all of a sudden they didn't have it. What happened? I thought I had all this millions of whatever, and I thought I had all this. Now I don't have anything because its security is not in the right thing, not in the right place. And actually, the Rebbe says that the American currency is the strongest currency. Why? Because it's the only currency that has on it, "In God we trust." Seriously, not even the shekel. In God we trust. So because of that, it's the strongest. There's the strongest economy.
Our economy.
The American economy is the strongest economy because it's on the dollar bill. It's not that the security is that I trust that what in God we trust. That's where everything comes from. So that
suggesting to Israel,
put it on, of course, 100%.
People in Israeli history.
Yes, there's a lack of so ridiculous, and they're trying to take off certain things I think that are already good on the shekel, to put on some random whatever. Anyways, one day we'll grow up. Hopefully, So
we
open up, yeah, exactly. Chassid, you said, the American Revolution was funded by a Sephardic Jew, Chaim Solomon. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So that's the splitting of the Yam Suf is kasher parnasatam kekriyat Yam Suf, because just like when we look at nature and there's a lot going on there and it's all hidden. So too, knowing what is going to happen tomorrow, how am I going to be able to pay that bill? I'm just thinking about a certain bill right now, actually. Needs to get taken care of. And it doesn't mean just not being absent-minded. It means and not making what we call a hishtadlut, making doing what we need to do for it, but recognize everything that we're doing is ultimately just a secondary to God's blessings. Birkat Hashem hi tashir. Birkat Hashem hi tashir. It's not my actions that are making me rich. It's not my actions that are doing this. Birkat Hashem is the blessing of Hashem that makes a person rich.
Which blessing should I read tonight? Which Birkat Hashem?
I was told I was supposed to bless because it's my Hebrew birthday.
Oh, wow, today? Wow. So we're going to get blessings. We're going to get brachas.
I was actually born on the dawn of the Sunday, right after Shabbat B'Shalach.
Wow.
So it was like mamash, not even Motzei Shabbat is when the light comes out.
Wow.
So I have a yan with Kriyat Yam Suf.
Oh, wow. Shabbat Shira. It's also singing. It's like song. Shabbat Shira. Wow. Shira also, by the way, means to come out. Shira. Kol ba'ale, it says in the Mishnah, in Masechet Shabbat, Kol ba'ale behemot sheyesh lahem shir. Shir is also like a type of like a muzzle that you put around them. Yotzim b'shir. That in the Mishnah, it's a in Mishnah. So the Alter Rebbe says that yotzim b'shir. That how does a person go out? Yotzim b'shir. When a person has to go out, it has to go out through song, like through the shira, through a song. A person goes out of their thing, of their exile. Kol ba'alei shir yotzim b'shir. In other words, you could take them out on Shabbat. If they usually go out like that, it's called carrying. It's not called something extra on Shabbat. If there's no, you could go out with it, and but on a deeper level. Kol ba'alei shir yotzim b'shir. So anyway, so that's the splitting of the sea on a financial level. On a financial level, a person reaches like real cherut. A person reaches real what do you call it, like freedom, yeah, by coming to a state of what, of just going beyond yourself and trusting that tomorrow I'm going to have what I need. And it's a very difficult thing because that's one of the most difficult things that a person has is what's gonna be, you know, with a parnassa, what's gonna be with the finances, what's gonna be here, what's gonna be there. Oh, you know, your person is this thing. But when a person's able to overcome that fear, that am I gonna have enough, and not just for now. Right now I have enough. Thank God I'm not, you know, everything's good. Am I gonna have enough tomorrow? Am I going to have enough in 2 days? Am I going to have enough in a week from now? Am I going to have enough in a year from now? All those things are just like very difficult things that a person is in a state of exile, you know, basically. So that's what kashep anasatan kriyat yamsuf, because when a person is able to have that bitachon, that I'm going to have everything, that I have everything right now, and tomorrow I'm going to have everything as well, then he's coming to a place of freedom, of cherut. It's a place of freedom. It's a very difficult. It's a very high level of bitachon, of emunah, of coming to that place, right? Ve'aminu b'Hashem Moshe Avdo. They believed that, oh, God was with me the whole time, right? Basically. That it's not just like a hiddenness and I don't see what's under the water and whatever, but now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is what's under the water and that's what's going on. And so too in our lives, oh God, things are orchestrated in this way. I'm supposed to be in this place at this point, and I met this person, and then it led me to this situation, and this happened and that happened, and basically I reached all the places I need to reach in, and it was all unseen to me. It was all uncovered. It was all just covered. But the emunah, that through the emunah of knowing that tomorrow I'm going to have everything that I need also, just like I had it today. That's ve'aminu b'Hashem Moshe Avdo. That's the trust of knowing that God is with me in every single day. And everything that I need, and every single detail of what I need is in His domain, right? And it makes total sense. Like intellectually, it makes complete sense. If for an animal, God overlooks, you know, what they have, and for and for a caterpillar, a butterfly, like everything that happens for it to develop and whatever it is. So for a human, for sure. Right, and for somebody that does is yearning to do what God wants of them to do, so then so much more so that everything is completely there, b'hashgacha pratit, and completely like divinely ordained on the level of like just every single detail is there. We don't see the details. It's like Yam Suf. It's just completely hidden. We don't know the details. We don't know what's going on. But to know that what we're doing is kriyat Yam Suf. It's a kriyat Yam Suf by recognizing that I am tomorrow I'm going to receive exactly what I need to receive. And I don't need to save up for today, for tomorrow, because the great God that provided me for today can also provide me for tomorrow. So that's why great tzaddikim didn't leave any money inside of their houses. Whatever money that they had, they gave it all away. They didn't have anything. I mean, not everybody's on that level, and nor should we, try to be on that level, because if we, then it's different kind of like discussion. But that's how they used to conduct themselves, because they wanted to show that I'm giving myself completely over. Like my vessel is just emptied out, so I'm able to receive tomorrow again. And then it's going to happen the next day. It's going to be again and again and again, and so on and so forth. So kashe parnasatan kekriyat yam suf. It's that same thing. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what the future holds. What, in old age, what's going to happen when this, that. All a person knows is if right now we're doing what we're meant to be doing, and we're doing it honestly, with emunah, with truth, then there's no doubt that things are going to work out. The next day, and the day after that, and the day after that, 30 years, whatever it is, but I'm not looking so much ahead. I'm just looking for Dvar Yom B'Yomo. That's lessons of the man. That day by day, living day by day. So then the second thing is kashek zivugam kikriyat yamsuf. Also finding your soulmate. And the pasuk says in Tehillim, Moshiv yechidim baita, motzi asirim bekosharot. We learned it out from this pasuk in Tehillim. Motzi asirim bekosharot. Asirim are the Jewish people when they came out of Egypt. Asirim bekosharot. Bekosharot is zman muchshar. What is zman muchshar? That's Nisan. A great time to go out. Beautiful season to just walk through the So motzi asirim. So it says Moshiv yechidim baita. That's what we learn out, that finding your zivug is like the coming out of the Yam Suf. So what's the correlation between that? Moshiv yechidim baita. So the Gemara says that what is the chance of a person that lives in this part of the world to now meet somebody that lives in a totally different part of the world? I mean, before J date. What? Ascent. I gave a similar class to this. It's now 4 years ago. Yeah, I'll never forget it. I was sitting here, and there was like maybe two people in the class, 3 people. It was like a Thursday night also, and there was a lady, a young woman sitting over there, and at the end of the class, I just had an idea for her. I was like, do you mind, can I speak to you for a second? And she was like, sure. She was from Argentina. Like, I have an idea for you, because I knew a guy that was also Spanish speaking. I was like, how about it? Maybe you try it. She's like, I'm going back to Jerusalem, and I'm going back to Argentina in a week from now. It's like, what do you care? Try it out, So I quickly arranged it. They went out. That it was a Thursday night class. They went out on a Saturday night on Motzei Shabbat, and it went really well. They went out 3 times. She stayed a little longer. They got engaged. I'm married.
Wow.
Start thinking. 25, getting old.
And I did. I have an idea. I'm
the youngest in class. But just in class.
So unbelievable, right? It was a class. It was literally a class on this, on Kriyat Yam Suf, and we were talking about the zivu, how it's different.
You have the power to do it, When you suggested me that tall guy,
yeah,
you didn't know. I noticed it only on your happy 13-year-old
bar mitzvah boy.
bar mitzvah in the Knesset upstairs. When I saw the tall guy with the talit,
Yeah.
you know what I understood? It's the guy I saw the first week I was here on Pesach. The first prayer, I was on the porch praying Birkat HaShachar, and this man was going down. He was all white, and he picked up his face and said, Chag Sameach. I told him, Chag Sameach. And when I saw him the first time, 1 year ago, I told God, I want this man. And then I said, maybe he's occupied. I want someone like him. And then he offered me 1 year later, the same guy. Do you understand what happened? You close the circle.
That's crazy. Wow.
So you got it.
I don't know. It was just an idea. I just kind of like dropped.
It was great.
I don't that I kind of like think of people when I do. It's like more like energetically. Like
Yes.
I feel like they would kind of like fit like chemistry wise.
Really?
Thank God. Anyways, what? Yeah,
That's
no.
right. That's technical.
Yeah,
energy.
Yeah. Like I feel like
Yeah.
because I also make wine. We have wine. So like there's a blend, you know.
Which I haven't tried.
What?
Which I haven't tried.
Yeah, it's good. It's good wine. Very good wine. So it's blending. So you realize like, you know, you have this type of wine, a Cabernet, and the guy is like, it says actually that a marriage is in ve'agefen, ve'in ve'agefen. That you have in ve'agefen. You have two types of wines. You have the guy's a Cabernet. She's a Malbec.
I'm white wine.
Or Tu B'Shvat, we're going to talk about wine also. I mean, the whole idea of Tu B'Shvat. There's the 13-year-old. There's the on Tu B'Shvat, there's a whole idea of wine, by the way, and red wine, white wine, and different types. Very, very interesting. Yeah, very deep stuff. Tomorrow on Shabbat, yeah, B'ezrat Hashem. So, okay, so kashe zivugam. So just very, you know, just the idea is that we are, don't fall. Very careful, please.
I don't want to dirty the seat. Oops. No electricity?
There we go.
I didn't.
So again, what's the chance of two individuals meeting each other? Yeah, Ascent or J-Date or whatever it is that they're on. Yes, that's a nice, like, you know, ability to, let's say, do it. But it really makes no sense that it should work. That you have, that every person has that one person, right, in this world that is their person. Right? That is their person. That is their basher. That is their soulmate. It's a crazy idea. How are you supposed to find this? How many billions of people in the world? You're meant to find that person. It's hidden. It makes no sense that it should happen, right?
And it does.
But it does happen. It does.
I stopped thinking about it lately.
Yes, no, that's right. You can't really think about it because it's a miracle. It's kriyat Yam Suf. That's what it is. It's a splitting of the Yam Suf, because all of a sudden, oh, that's where you were. You grew up in this place, and you grew up in that place, and like, you know, and we went through this like life trip, this life cycle, and you went through that life cycle, and at this point in time we just fit, like, just perfectly, complement each other perfectly. It's a crazy idea, but there is a one, right, person for everybody else. There is that one person for everybody else, regardless of.
That one must awaken. Say to Adrian, that one must awaken. That one must awaken.
So that's
the kosherot,
the kosherot, yeah, at the right time, exactly. That's the deal, right? Motzia, right? Moshiv yechidim baita, motzia asirim bekosherot. It's pasuk in Tehillim, perek Samachet, I think. בכי שירות, the Gemara says, בזמן, I think it's Samachet. It's for sure Yom Shlishi של תהילים. anyways, so that's the idea of Yam Suf, splitting of the Yam Suf is like the ultimate freedom, because the ultimate freedom is recognizing that God was there for us in every single detail. And that's actually Rabbi Nachman says, Me'ein olam haba, like to know like that everything that's done for a person is everything litovato, everything is for God is doing is really all for his good, his or her good, is Me'ein olam, because you realize all the details is all, wow, I can't believe that this happened, that happened. But when you get the parnasa, right? You get the money for it to work out the way it works out. You're like, wow, how did that work out? That's a crazy thing. I knew this person through that person, and this idea came to my mind. And that amazing thing. You see how it was all just clicking. It was all just came together. And the same thing with a zivug. You know, you come to the right thing. You come to the right person, and you meet at the right time, the right place. It's Geulah.
Godliness.
It's godliness. It's Geulah. It really is. It's godliness, because you realize everything is. He was here the whole time. That's why the simcha, the joy of a wedding, is the highest joy. Highest simcha, because it's like a mini splitting of the Yam Suf right there. Just like you sang the Jewish people sang Shirav. So also by a wedding, there is that coming together of opposites, and the sea splitting. That's the highest joy, and so I just want to bless everybody that we should all have all the splitting of the Yam Suf, and everything that we need. And then everything that we pray for should become manifested, and we should that God
Amen.
gives us, and we should be open. We should become vessels to receive that revelation, and that splitting of the Yam Suf, and that everything that we pray for should be answered, for all the good things, should be for parnasa, for zivug, for health, for all those things. It should come down for us, for everybody that we pray for as well, and we should only hear and see good things, and that's
Only hearing good things.
Yeah.
Let's all believe in
Amen.
Amen. And we should all have that
We don't have to wait
emunah.
for Nachshon. We can believe it right now.
Yes, we should believe it right now. Yeah, exactly. So we should see the splitting of the Yam Suf right here, right now in our lives. In a revealed way, mamish. So, all right. So Steve,